Namaste Bhaktivedanta Swami Bhaktinami Namaste Saraswati Devam Gauravani Prachayami Nirvishiri Shishmimara Bhakti Sadhana. So I can only apologize for the content of the next 1 hour because to lecture over Srivas Thakur is for me not so common. However, remembering our first arrival in Mayapur in the old-fashioned traditional ISKCON Mayapur Vrindavan festivals, it was an absolute rule that whoever devotee, ISKCON devotee arrived in Mayapur, the first visit on parikrama, the first stop was in Srivas Angam, in Srivas Thakur's house, which I don't know how it looks today, probably surrounded by some skyscrapers in a process of development. But those days, it was a very simple structure, standing in the middle of kind of garden-like compound. It looked almost threatening when we arrived there with 300 devotees. And the pujaris urged us not to shout too loud, not to dance too much, because we could actually tear the whole building apart. So, but instantly upon entering the locality, you were struck by, it didn't took much spiritual awareness, you were struck by the fact that you are entering a very, very special place. The pujari always opened the curtain, I remember, and he brought out the Sadbhuja deity of Lord Chaitanya in his 6-armed form. We had always kirtan there, which always went out of control, but the pujaris kindly always requested us to exit that structure and go wild outside on the dry grass, which is a big garden, we could go really crazy. So that place is of the utmost importance, and it is recorded that Srila Prabhupada, before finally going for the West, he actually, next to Rupa Goswami's Samadhi, he went to Srivas Thakur house and asked for blessings. Because that's actually where everything started. Whatever we see manifested in the movement of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu started in that place. And what a place it was. Because to understand the historical context, I mean, Bengal was absolutely not ready to actually receive Lord Chaitanya. It was actually quite a crazy place. It's still recorded until today on an international scale of the most bizarre, crazy and corrupt places you find West Bengal. Or it's recorded in the Shastra, the place that even the Pandavas never went. You could say safely you find yourself in a backyard of India, which completely corresponds to the appearance of Lord Chaitanya, who is Patita Pavana, who especially likes to go there, that they are all crazy and all off. You know, he likes that. But of course, Prabhupada also said there was lots of beauty in Bengal, lots of poets and intellectuals do come from Bengal. But the general mood, you ask any South Indian here, what about Bengal? They go, yeah, Bengal. Until today it's like that. They say, they're all crazy. Bengal? Crazy. This is... So why is Lord Chaitanya appearing there? This Prabhu so nicely commented, he said, we asked ourselves, managing Mayapur down, trying to do something, why did you appear here? It's all muddy. It's all, you cannot construct anything. You dig a hole in the earth, there's Ganga 1/2 meter down. What do you want to build here? You can build a swimming pool, that's okay. But that's it. And he is supposed to be the biggest temple and the central headquarters. And so, but that's not Chaitanya. So in that place, there was a special place called Srivas Angam, which was the underground Hare Krishna movement. It was totally underground. It was so underground that when they made at night, Lord Chaitanya and his associates, actually Panchatattva, his weapons, as described in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Krishna appears, and when he appears, his weapons appear, his Sudarshan Chakra, and, to assist him in his mission. So when Lord Chaitanya appears, there is no that kind of weapons. His associates are the weapons. They are the preaching weapons. So this was the preaching training ground, Srivas Angam. Outside of public view, which is not corresponding to the basic mood of Lord Chaitanya's movement. The basic mood of Lord Chaitanya movement is to go out and spread Krishna consciousness. Be as public as you can be. Give it all out. That's the general mood. But that was no time for that. That time didn't come yet. And Lord Chaitanya was relatively young, and he met there with his associates, and they had this incredible intimate kirtans. That Krishna consciousness is spread publicly, it doesn't mean that it is that public. The inner core of our philosophy is actually very intimate. Srila Prabhupada refused to talk about it publicly, and he also urged us not to do the same. That means all the intimate pastimes of the Lord. And you could say also the intimate pastimes of Lord Chaitanya, there is such a thing. And that's Srivas Angam. That's where the training ground was, where only selected personalities took place. No public allowed. It wasn't allowed. And it's described, they even barricaded the windows. So no sound can come out. They tried to make the place even soundproof. And there, in the most selected, intimate, you could say, atmosphere, well, Lord Chaitanya did something he never did after that. But, the kirtans grew so ecstatic, and they were of such a divine quality that Lord Chaitanya couldn't even restrain himself in the ecstasy of love of Godhead to actually reveal himself to the selected Vaishnavas in his original form. He actually contradicted his mission. His mission was to appear as the servant of God, not as God. Whenever he was later on addressed, "Oh, you are God," he was covering his ear and going, "Vishnu, Vishnu, Vishnu," what an offense. I'm a servant of God. But in that place, there were other rules. And there are a few records here in Chaitanya Charitamrita that this is from Adilila. This is just to mention, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu regularly led congregational chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra in the house of Srivas Thakur every night for 1 full year. This ecstatic chanting was performed with the doors closed so that non-believers who came to make fun could not gain entrance. That means it was very discriminative actually. It was just based on absolute devotion, purity. Prabhupada comments immediately. Prabhupada gets immediate in action and comments, so we don't misunderstand. Oh yeah. Like we have here, sacred sound announcement. Devotees come together and chant. So let's barricade the doors and let's seal it all off. And only selected Orhus devotees will sit here, accompanied by the selected Malna devotees. And then we would say, why are you printing these posters? Supposed to hang everywhere. And somebody goes, secret sound good. I want to unite with the universe. Maybe that's the way to do it. And you and suddenly sitting here. No problem. Because that's, Prabhupada comments, chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra is open to everyone. But sometimes non-believers come to disturb the ceremony of chanting. It is indicated herein that under such circumstances the temple doors should be closed. I saw it personally. I am not going to mention the particular circumstances. I saw Tamal Krishna Maharaj getting down from the Vyasasana in Mayapur and closing the doors to the temple when Asahajya was approaching. It was 500 devotees present, and he's going, what happened to the lecture? Because we didn't saw it, we were just listening to the lecture. He suddenly went down from the Vesasan, and that was the initial temple, the old temple room, with this, with this metal closing gates, which is nowadays an exhibition room. That was actually the original temple room. And there were several of these gates, this iron kind of harmonica gates, open. So he went one after another, and exactly when the Sahaji arrived, he closed the last one. And he was out there and going, then he returned to the Vesasa and he continued with the lecture. But Maharaj was very clear about what he was doing. And we were like, wow, there's a chanting party outside, they're not allowed to enter. Amazing. Because he saw Sahaja. Finished. So, Prabhupada continues, only bona fide chanters should be admitted, others should not. But when there is a large-scale congregational chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, we keep our temples for everyone to join. And by the grace of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, this policy has given good results. So it is a risky thing what we are doing. We are contradicting even the instruction of Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, who just instructs that actually this knowledge should be not discussed amongst non-devotees. But Prabhupada again comments, how do we know? I mean, in Kali Yuga, everybody is covered in various ways. You cannot have like they have in airports, the metal detector. So you cannot have a devotee detector on the door going, ma, 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 non-believer. Well, probably you will have nobody coming in to start with. It's crazy what people sometimes come up with. And as a preacher, you have to learn to discriminate the position of the heart. There are people who will speak a very interesting devotional line, but they have a very heinous motivation in their heart. They are just envious. They will repeat Krishna's words, they will exhibit mood of worship just to compete with Krishna, just to get close to him and envy him. And as a preacher, you have to have that discrimination, otherwise you will facilitate offenses. But then there are those who come and just talk stupidity. I can see it. When you study carefully Prabhupada's preaching, it was exactly like that. He was very liberal to stupidity. People are going, well, Swamiji, I heard and I felt that, the question, when I chant, there's a light over my head. This offense, what is this? Interpreting meaning into the holy name, one of the 10 offenses. Straight out, it's an offensive thing to say such a thing. I was going, that's all right. Keep on chanting, it will be switched off. Okay. Because there was no, the person had no agenda, he just was under LSD or whatever. So it was offensive what he said. It was straight out one of the offenses against the holy name. But stupidity, that's what you get. Every Sankirtan devotee is trained on this. Yes. Yeah, this book looks good. It will help me to eat better and sleep better. Or they interpret some material motivation. Goes, this is. I remember one guy I met on the street, I looked at him, I was going, hello. That's a German greeting amongst hunters. He got out of a jeep. But otherwise he looked normal. And he was like, how do you know I'm a hunter? I said, it's all in this book. You read this book, you know people. You know what they are, you know where they come from, and you know where they are supposed to go. Oh, that's okay, I guess then I have to buy it. It's interesting. We have, those days, our main book distributor, Tripurari Prabhu. He distributed Bhagavad Gita in front of the military, barracks, exactly on the date where the soldiers got their pay. He knew exactly. So when they came out of the gate for the weekend to drive home and spend all the money and have a good time, he was right away there, stopping the cars. Hello? He said, this is a book for soldiers. Because it describes exactly what happens when a soldier doesn't want to fight. By the time he's finished with the book, he's ready to fight. It's a kind of simple presentation of Bhagavad Gita, doesn't sound very philosophical. Yeah, and they were going, oh yeah, well, there's an old book about how to become a perfect soldier, okay? They bought Bhagavad Gita. It's like he was selling it. He told me personally, because we had this kind of competitive spirit always. He was away at the time, sitting in Germany. So he told me, we had a funny exchanges always in Mayapur when we met once a year. He was kind of a Nirada looking guy. It's very similar. He just looked at me with his ice cold look and he said, next year I will defeat you. Watch it. You know, he was like, let's have the competition going on. I was like, oh, yes, yes, because he was like an icon, you know, he was like, Prabhupada said he was the incarnation of Buddhist devotions. So, you know, it was like, oh, yeah, yes, yes. You know, so you know, this is how you preach to non-believers. You know, they are non-believers, but out of stupidity. They have nothing to say. They don't know anything. And even they say something, it's just some foolish things they heard. They don't have an established agenda. The dangerous people which come into this movement, and they do come into this movement, is people who have an established agenda. They have a purpose. Offense comes always along the purpose. Offense can be done also out of stupidity, yes, but it's not as grievous as when it's a purpose behind the whole thing. You have an agenda, how to harm the other one, or you know, you follow actually a plan, you have a desire, you have an agenda how to get there. That's where the offenses comes. How to, like I described, how to compete with Krishna and how to become Krishna. So this is exactly, that kind of people should ultimately not be permitted, no. So further on, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is describing, thus the non-believers almost burned to ashes and died in envy, hearing the kirtan in Srivas Anga. To retaliate, they planned various ways to give trouble to Srivas Thakur. That's envy. A real envious person, when he's envious, he will immediately try to find some means to give trouble to a person. But how do you give trouble to Srivas Thakur? I mean, you know, it's such a purity. So one night, while the kirtan was going on inside Srivas Thakur's house, a brahmana named Gopala Chapala, the chief of the non-believers, who was talkative and very rough in his speech, placed all the paraphernalia for worshipping the goddess Durga outside of Srivas Thakur's door. That's certainly non-vegetarian items. That's how we worship. Probably a head of a goat, cut up the head of the goat and offer it to Durga, something like that. They have arrangements for that in Navadvip. So Prabhupada comments, the Brahmana Gopala Chapala wanted to defame Srivas Thakur by proving that he was actually a Shakta, or worshipper of Bhavani, the goddess of Durga, but was externally posing as a Vaishnava. That's a classical thing. A hypocrite will always call you a hypocrite. It's always like that. This is like Shishupal mentality. Shishupal gave a very long, eloquent lecture how this Krishna is a hypocrite. Don't select him as the supreme in this assembly because we don't even know who he is. We don't know his caste. We don't know his varna. He is just sitting here. You know, we don't know. How can you elect him like this? He's a hypocrite. Because Shishupal was a hypocrite. So a hypocrite will always tell you that you are a hypocrite. It's always the rule. So how to compromise Srivas Thakur? In Bengal there is a perpetual competition between devotees of Goddess Kali and the devotees of Lord Krishna. Generally Bengalis, especially those who are meat-eaters and drunkards, are very much attached to worshipping the Goddess Durga, Kali, Shitala and Chandi. Such devotees who are known as Shaktas, or worshippers of the Shakti Tattva, are always envious of the Vaishnavas. Since Srivas Thakur was a well-known and respected Vaishnava in Navadvip, Gopal Chapal wanted to reduce his prestige by bringing him down to the platform of the Shaktas. Therefore, outside Srivas Thakur's door, he placed various paraphernalia for worshipping Bhavani, the wife of Lord Shiva, such as red flower and plantain leaf and pot of wine and reddish sandalwood paste. In the morning, when Srivas Thakur saw all this paraphernalia in front of his door, he called for the respectable gentlemen of the neighborhood and showed them that at night he was worshipping Bhavani. You can see Srivas Thakur definitely had a sense of humor. He was not like, what? It was me! what is this? No. He was going, come, look. Here you have the true nature of Srivas Thakur, yes. So, very much sorry, these gentlemen, because they knew immediately this is a plot, called for a sweeper to cleanse the place and purify it by sprinkling water and cow dung there. This incident, Gopal Chapar, is not mentioned in Chaitanya Bhagavata. It's actually a very delicate balance between Chaitanya Charitamrita and Chaitanya Bhagavata. These stories are kind of complementary. Some things are more described in Chaitanya Bhagavata, some things are more described in Chaitanya Charitamrita. So Krishna Kaviraj Goswami continues to explain, on the upper portion of the plantain leaf, he placed such paraphernalia for worship of Udapula, turmeric, vermilion, red sandalwood, and rice. He placed a pot of wine besides all this, and in the morning when Srivas Thakur opened his door, he saw this paraphernalia. Srivas Thakur called for all the respectable gentlemen of the neighborhood and smilingly addressed them as follows. Gentlemen, every night I worship the goddess Bhavani. Since the paraphernalia for the worship is present here, now all you respectable brahmanas and members of the higher castes can understand my position. And then all the assembled gentlemen exclaimed, what is this? What is this? Who has performed such mischievous activities? Who is that sinful man? They called for a sweeper, Hari, who threw all the items of worship far away and cleansed the place by mopping it with a mixture of water and cow dung. So this attempt to discredit the devotee obviously were right away there. As soon as you do something pure and something real in the material world, you can be guaranteed you will be criticized. Guaranteed. As a matter of fact, there's even one materialist enterprise man who, quite prominent, I don't even know the name, but he said, there's no even need to do anything you cannot be criticized for. Because that's the nature of this world. Prabhupada confirms this entirely as his devotees were criticized in a particular case because of their preaching activities in Japan. Prabhupada said, well, and it was done by his godbrothers, so he said, well, at least we did something wrong, maybe, but at least we did something. They cannot be criticized because they do nothing. So, from a preaching point of view, that's a preaching logic. And Prabhupada applied that logic all the time. Let's face it, he sent completely unqualified people out, untrained. There was no seminars how to preach. I joined this movement, as a spaced out dreaming artist. And 3 days later I was on the street, shaved with Dori, holding a Back to Godhead magazine, not knowing which way the wind blows. I felt completely naked. I felt scalped, like the Arab Indians, and just cut off your head. I felt like this. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to do. But here I was, the representative of the Hare Krishna movement. And that was it. And I stood there actually on the corner of the same shopping house in the same town I used to live, scared that I will meet my old girlfriend. That was all. That was my first mood, my first Sankirtan. Completely doesn't make any sense. There's no company. There is no school which will put students like this on the street to represent the school. They will demand some standards first. No. Prabhupada made a very simple rule. The whole world is on fire. This is the fire extinguishing department. Who cares even what kind of language the fire brigade men are speaking? But it has to be said that here we are, 40 years, 45 years later, we could do better, okay? We do pay more attention to that because Krishna consciousness is actually one way or another, it is more established. People are not like, whoa, where do these guys come from? They know where we do come from. And they know basically what we represent. You cannot imagine the amount of people who are aware what we represent. It's far more as we can imagine. But they are in a category which Prabhupada called a rascal. Rascal means he knows, but he will not do it. He is aware of the content. He knows what he could do and supposed to do. He will not do it. You know, it's called mundane. Mundane means that actually lazy, spiritually lazy. Prabhupada said, we tell them chant, they go can't. They always find some reason why they should actually not do it. They had a very practical experience. You know how many contacts he is making a week? I don't think anybody is aware of that. This is one of the most intense contacting programs Denmark ever had. How many of you have contacts in that phone in the database?
110, 120.
110, it's coming up to 200. Let's say new contacts. And SMS go out. Hello, tonight we have a Srivastava festival. Hello, we are doing this. What are you doing? Come, very nice. And I tell you quite frankly, Denmark is special because I know many countries, they would just write you one SMS back. Shut up and leave me alone. No, they don't do that. They even say, yes,